Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Rory, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture, Highway 86, east end of Listowel. Our friends at Larry Hudson, Chevrolet Buick GMC, of course, the Listowel squash courts. We're in the midst of a heat wave here in Ontario. I'm sure it's probably no different than just across the border with our friends in the U.S. It is hot outside, and hockey's a hot topic right now with the Stanley Cup Final going on. We thought, why not bring on our friend, host and analyst with the NHL and Daily Faceoff, content creator with Bleacher Report Open Ice, college hockey analyst on Nesson, host of the Blue Crew Pod. What doesn't this guy do? Jonny Lazarus back on Instigating. Laz, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Ryan. I am, like you said, it's hot as shit out here. So fighting the sweat right now in my apartment. Got the air blasting. Hopefully you can't hear it over the microphone. But yeah, it's a scorcher today in New York, that's for sure.
Can't hear the air conditioner, but we're excited to hear your thoughts on obviously the Stanley Cup Final. And we're recording this the night after the Oilers did what Connor McDavid said they wanted to do. They're dragging the Florida Panthers back to Alberta, 2,500K. It's going to be another long trip for these hockey clubs. It's the longest travel in Stanley Cup Final history in terms of total miles traveled so far. And man, oh man, when the Panthers went up 3-0, I don't think a lot of people had a lot of hope for a potential Game 5, let alone 6 and maybe 7, Laz. Take us through how you felt this Cup Final has gone, because Edmonton has certainly done a good job of battling their way back into it off the mat.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've picked, betting wise, like every game wrong. Just because, game one, you think, I feel like sometimes you see stories play out. Game one, Edmonton's the better team. They don't get what they deserve. And then game two, you kind of think Florida will have a strong response, but somehow Edmonton will squeak it out, right? Sometimes the better team doesn't always win, and that's the way hockey works. But typically, I think we see it happen in series where, like, let's say the Rangers, for example, are the good team one night, they lose, and they're outplayed the next night, but somehow they win. Sometimes that's just how it goes. But this series has been weird because I've listened to both fan bases. I don't really have a dog in the fight. And I know there's Oilers fans saying that, they've controlled the majority of the series, but there's Panthers fans who don't feel that way, and they think they've controlled the majority of the series. And, to that, there have been a lot of moments where you're wondering, why can't Edmonton figure it out? Why can't Edmonton break through? What's happening to their offense? Then all of a sudden in games 4 and 5, you see it. Right, McDavid gets going, and some depth guys get going. Connor Brown, like, I feel like that's not even really a story today, and it should be. I mean, it's a part of the story, but I think it's a major factor. You need your team to come out and have a good start, and it's Connor Brown in both these games shorthanded doing it, right? So that's something that's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle, as well as Stuart Skinner. Like, he puts on a hell of a performance in game 4, and then while the numbers aren't as pretty in game 5, he still makes some crazy timely saves. Florida was really peppering the Oilers a little bit in the beginning, especially. You think of that save on Ekblad that he made. I know this is a long-winded response, but I'm just trying to gather all my thoughts kind of here as I'm going. It's been a crazy, weird, unpredictable, but still somehow predictable series, if that makes sense.
It absolutely has, because, a lot of this series hasn't made sense. It's been really crazy. And yeah, Connor Brown, you bring him up in the cool story, obviously, with him and McDavid being junior teammates. And Connor Brown, I remember him in the OHL. I mean, he was a 13th round pick and turned into an OA player of the year with 127 points and played with McDavid. And now here they are in the Cup Final, and he makes the difference opening up in game 5 with that shorty. And when you consider Edmonton in the position that they're in, and you mentioned their offense finally coming alive, and of course McDavid is at the heart of that. We've yet to see Draisaitl really do it. Hyman finally scored a goal, continues to lead the playoffs in goal scoring, but McDavid the last 2 games has really, really taken over, and he's now 4th all time in points in a playoff run, and has already passed Wayne Gretzky for most assists in a playoff run. And when you factor all that in with the goal that he created on the power play for Corey Perry in game 5, where he scissored through the Florida, as only he can do. When you factor all that in, are we watching one of the greatest playoff runs, not just in hockey history, but in sports history right now?
Individually, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I don't, I'm trying to think back to, when you think about hockey, you think about the goal scoring. McDavid hasn't necessarily scored a ton in the playoffs. I mean, he still has what, 7, 8 goals? I'm blanking on the exact total. Um, I think it's 8. But, you kind of think back, and I feel like Braden Point had one a couple years ago where he puts up like 14 goals in a run. And I feel like oftentimes you think about the scoring, but this time around and this year with the 100 assists in the regular season, the playmaking should get some more love. Again, it's a good question you asked too, because I'm pretty sure LeBron had his days where he was averaging like a triple double in the playoffs, which is insanely hard to do. Um, other sports I don't follow as closely. Football, obviously Mahomes, I guess, would be in that conversation. I don't follow it nearly like I follow the NBA or the NHL. Baseball is tough for me to say also. So like for me, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer that it's McDavid, but I don't want to take credit away from any other sport or any other athlete. I mean, this series in itself, and we talked about it on our show a little bit today, like I think this could be one of the best comebacks of all time. You talk about a playoff run. I mean, I want to give you everything I'm thinking here. Like the run to get here, though, granted, like they beat Dallas when everyone kind of bet against them, which was insanely impressive. First round, they play an LA team who was not so great. Second round, 7 games, Demko out, Besser hurt going into 7. You can make some sort of excuses for the Canucks. Is it that magical of a win? They almost blow a 3-0 lead in the third. They found a way to do it. The run itself doesn't feel as powerful maybe as these last 3 weeks, right? Where the Dallas series, and I think it all starts kind of in game 4. They go down 2-0 at home, and you're saying to yourself, they got nothing. They're done. This is it. They claw their way back in that game. They win 3 straight. And now we're talking about a team that's 2 wins away from the cup. So the question was about, is it one of the best playoff runs of all time for McDavid? Where I feel like I'm going on forever here, but I like, there's got to be one other athlete that took down like the big dogs on their way to doing it, right? There has to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you answer? Do you an answer? Sorry, I know I went on for a long time. I was just trying to think.
No, hey man, and that's what we have you on here for, because we love your thoughts, we love listening, and love watching your work. And I guess selfishly for myself, having watched the New England Patriots dynasty for so long, I mean, Tom Brady did it so often, had to go through Roethlisberger's Steelers, had to go through Peyton Manning years and years and years.
Like McDavid didn't do that. Right?
Yeah, he didn't have to take down Titans. He didn't have to take down outside of Dallas on the way here, and now potentially Florida.
Like had Dallas been in this position, we're talking about a crazy run for that team. Defending
absolutely
champs, Avalanche, and then Edmonton, McDavid, best player in the world. That's a crazy run to me. I just don't think this Oilers run is like a historical run, but this comeback very well could be the best of all time.
I completely agree. I think McDavid on an individual level, his raw numbers alone have put him up there, because there's only 2 guys now in NHL history that have put up more points in the playoffs than him, Mario and Wayne twice. But as a team, you could certainly say numerous times throughout history, recent history, that teams have gone through a tougher gauntlet, so to speak. I want to get your thoughts too on this goaltending matchup, because I mean, again, something that was so tilted for the first 3 games, game 1 in particular, with Bobrovsky's shutout, and now Stuart Skinner punching back here, and Bobrovsky looking a little off kilter. And I've had a consistent argument with people that don't believe that Sergei Bobrovsky is an elite goaltender. I completely disagree. I'd love your thoughts on him and his status among current goaltenders, and where you think he kind of fits in Hall of Fame discussions potentially. and Stuart Skinner and the great bounce back that he has spearheaded for this Oilers club.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? Like 5 days ago, we're talking about Bobrovsky being a sure shit Hall of Famer. Because it looked like he had the Conn Smythe locked up. It looked like he had the cup locked up. Different story now, right? I think had he done those things, it's a no argument, right? Like if the Panthers close this thing out in 4 games, he's a Hall of Famer. Not saying he blew it now with this. I still think he gets in if the Panthers win this cup. If they don't win this cup, I don't think he gets in though. I don't think Bobrovsky gets into the Hall of Fame without a ring. I don't. I still think he's an elite goalie. I would give him that for sure. But where you put him all time, I don't know. I don't know if he's top 10 all time. Do you? Do you think so? I don't think so.
Top 10's tough for me, but yeah. I mean, if you want to 20? Talk to me about top 20, I mean, I'd have a hard time pushing him out of there. And I guess my argument would be, you look at some of his raw numbers and guys that have got, and keep in mind, I mean, he's not ancient. He's still got some years left in the tank here and got off to a really rough start with this Florida tenure that he's magically turned around. 300 plus wins, really solid regular season numbers, great high danger save percentage, 2 Vezina trophies in Columbus. Let me say that one more time. Columbus. Yeah. And I just think that he's on track to potentially do it. The cup would definitely help him. Yeah. And then when you turn and you look at Stuart Skinner, a guy who's just young and has so much career in front of him, playing for his hometown team and seemingly being counted down and out constantly. Over the last 2 years, people have looked for every single excuse to not give Stuart Skinner his flowers, and he consistently bounces back after tough stretches with really hot stretches. I don't know if there's a hotter and colder goalie going right now, certainly not in the playoffs, and he's really punched himself right back into the conversation, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I just want to add one more thing about this Bobrovsky thing, because I was just kind of looking it up as you were going, and I'll get to Skinner here in a second. Bobrovsky, when you look at wins, he's 15-16 in wins all time, but his save percentage all time, which is still really good, has him at 28th. So where do you find that in between of, is he, really a top 20 goalie, or is he also the beneficiary of being on strong teams? Like, I think kind of going into these playoffs, like last year, Bobrovsky, without a doubt, carried Florida, right? Like he was unbelievable, inhuman. His performance was outstanding. This year, a lot of the credit goes to Florida and the way they defend Barkov and Forsling and Ekblad and their whole blue line, where Bob, while he has been good, hasn't gotten nearly enough attention for it, maybe, if that's the right word. Not sure that is. So when I'm looking numbers-wise, like now, my thought is skewed on where he falls, top 20. Like, I think there's an argument to be made. But it for whatever reason, it just doesn't feel like he has that same magnitude of, like, Carey Price or Vasilevsky. And Price is a guy who never won, and Vasilevsky's a guy who won too. Like, it's our perception on goalies is always weird, I feel like, because I'd say from where I sit, like, to me, Henrik Lundqvist is essentially a no-brainer, like top 15 goalie all time, right? Like, I think that's no-brainer, but I don't know if anyone else would feel that way outside of New York. That's just my perception of a guy I watched so long, and maybe Florida fans feel more passionate about it. Maybe Columbus fans feel more passionate about it, or Flyers fans even, who watched him at a younger age. On the flip side is Skinner, another guy here. I think I said it off the hop. Like, Skinner going 9-0 in the postseason in games 4 through 7. Granted, he's like 4-8 in games 1 through 3. There's got to be some sort of clutch gene or showing up in big moments that he's got, right? Like, is that something that we're not discussing enough? That there's all these different questions and perceptions, and they change from game to game in series like this. They do. It's crazy that 3 days ago, McDavid was plus 700 for the Conn Smythe. Now he's minus 180. Like, hockey is such a crazy sport in that sense, and Bobrovsky and Skinner, like the goalies that we saw in the first 3 games are not the goalies that we saw in the last 2. Bobrovsky has not been the guy that we thought he was in these last 2 games, and they need him to be.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and I think that is accentuated too when we're talking about 2 teams, 2 core groups that haven't won. So there's not that mystique. There's not that edge. We're not talking about Crosby chasing 2 or 3. Yeah. We're not talking about those Red Wings teams, those Blackhawks teams that were chasing multiple cups that we've seen do it before. There's so many question marks here because neither one of these groups have done it. And I would just say quickly before we move on, I'm not a New York Rangers fan. Henrik Lundqvist's a top 10 goaltender in NHL history.
Right?
It's not even a question to me. I would listen to people tell me top 5. I would listen to that conversation. He was that good. Like, if he's not firmly entrenched in your 7, 8 hole, at least, like, he's inside the top 10 for me.
I said 15 to try to just sound unbiased. I thought
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Let me push it over the line for you because it's that's an inarguable question to me. He's a top 10, no question.
And his playoff numbers too,
Dude, has a goaltender ever deserved a cup more than that guy and didn't get one? It's just it's literally a Greek tragedy to me that he didn't win a Stanley Cup. I want to talk a little bit about your Rangers. I want to know how you're feeling about how the season went, how it ended, how you're feeling about the team going forward, because they've still got quite a good young group of guys there. Yes, they've got some leadership pieces that are getting a little older. Chris Kreider's a guy that I think a lot of people would love to see win a cup too. Jacob Trouba is starting to cross that threshold as well. How are you feeling about the Rangers and just how everything went, all things considered?
I've had a lot of mixed emotions. Like, I really thought after game 3 of the Florida series, after the second period of that game, Lafreniere scores that nasty goal. Gaudreau has the shorty. You're kind of sitting there, and I was with a bunch of friends actually in the intermission in Florida, and we're like, oh my God, like this is happening, right? Like, first 2 games, they were kind of, not sure, couldn't really feel the temperature of the series quite yet, even though it was a 1-1 series. But game 3, that second period, the Rangers are like, oh, this is a legit team. Like, they can do this. And then for whatever reason, right after that, the series changed. Florida dominates the entire third period of that game. The Rangers do sneak away with an overtime goal from Wenberg, but then they lose 3 straight games and the series over, season's over. How I feel about them going forward, I always believe in them, but I always have that little sense of doubt, right? Like this year too, you believe, but it's hard to fully believe just kind of with everything that's happened over the course of essentially the last 15 years of being a Ranger fan. Every year it feels like they're, aside from maybe like a 3-year window, it feels like they're competitive and they have the ability to do it. But even after the President's Trophy and a 7-0 start to the playoffs, you're still worried about some other teams, and I don't think the East is going to get so much better and so much harder. I still think the Rangers are going to have to, take on the Floridas, and we'll see what kind of happens with Tampa here. Toronto's never a real threat, even if they make some noise. Boston always is competitive somehow. The Devils will be back and better next year after getting Markstrom today. That's some pretty big news. But I don't think the East is the worry. The West, though, can they beat a Dallas, an Edmonton, a Colorado, a Vegas in a 7-game series? That I don't know with this year's roster. And we'll never know because they didn't get the chance. But all I know is Florida right now seems to be, that measuring stick, just like Vegas kind of was last year. They both play a pretty similar style, and the Rangers are going to have to just build out their blue line and become a little bit tougher to play against, because when you look at them offensively, they got the skill, but every team that had their way with them, the Rangers had a hard time getting inside and getting through and getting to the net, where other teams were on top of Shesterkin essentially the entire time. And they made life hell on Igor, but he was always able to rise to the task. But how long can he really do that? So, I think the narrative around New York is the Rangers have to get size and get more physical, but I really think they have to strengthen the back end a bit more. I think that's where the issue was against Florida. They couldn't get out of their own zone. So I think that's where I think the direction needs to go.
Yeah, I think that's a ringing true sentiment for a lot of teams. Everybody wants to get better on their back end. It feels like, and I feel like that'll be a theme potentially with moves at the draft. And you bring up moves quickly. I want to touch on that. Obviously, Jacob Markstrom finally getting moved from Calgary. Obviously, Kevin Ball, a 2025 first round pick. It's top 25 protected, I believe, was the stipulation around that. And Calgary retained some money as well, 31.25% of his contract to help the Devils out a little bit there. Your thoughts when you first saw the move? Is New Jersey finally in business here?
Well, I mean, I think it was necessary, right? I don't think anyone was surprised that this happened. There were reports during the year that it was, basically a sure thing until, I'm blanking on it right now, but someone pulled out at the last minute on the trade. It sounded like Markstrom thought he was staying here when he came here to play the Devils, Islanders, and Rangers. And for whatever reason, it fell through. I think Kevin Ball is the defenseman that we kind of just talked about, right? Teams want that kind of guy, a big physical, second pair, third pair guy that, what is he, 6'7" around there? Like he's a big boy, 23 years old. I'm pretty sure, young guy has a bright future, but to not give up your 10th pick this year to get a goalie who I know is, kind of on the back nine of his career, but the Devils feel like they can win now. I think it's the right move for this team in the next 2-3 year window. It's maybe not the right move for the next 10 years or 5 to 7, but you're trying to win now. And when you had a competitive team last year, a disappointing team this year, it's just making a splash to make your fans happy too, and to make the organization feel like they're all in on winning a cup. And who's to say they can't? I know they were the sexy pick going into this season after a crazy run last year. So I'm sure they'll use this year as motivation for next year.
Yeah, they certainly should. New goalie, new coach, new system. We'll see what happens in Newark. And another big move today, and my guy's involved in it. And I got to be honest, I really don't know how to feel about this one.
Yeah.
Pierre-Luc Dubois on seemingly his 70th pro team, going the other way for Darcy Kemper, a guy who I had a lot of high hopes for after the Cup win in Colorado, just never really could settle in and get his game going in Washington. And it's a straight swap, money for money, no retention, just a straight player swap. Kemper for Pierre-Luc Dubois. I need you to either make me feel better about the Caps acquiring PLD or make me feel worse, bury me, because my initial reaction, I'll tell you, was I'm real scared of this guy.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Kemper thing, I think if you're a Capitals fan, you should be happy to get rid of him anyway, because it seems like Lindgren's your guy, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think everyone can kind of agree with that. But Pierre-Luc Dubois, I've never met him. I've watched a lot of his interviews. I've heard from other people that he's a pretty cool guy. I haven't talked to a lot of guys who have played on a team with him, but from just media experiences, people dealing with him. But if history tells us anything, it's obviously not a great move for Washington, right? Like, I mean, how am I going to defend that move? I can't. But will it help him to be with essentially the best goal scorer of all time? Maybe Ovechkin can help. If it's a mentality thing, an attitude thing, I'm not sure. But what I will say, from covering the Rangers Capitals for 4 games, not a full playoff round, it wasn't, it was not trying to chirp here, but it wasn't really much of a series. Spencer Carberry seems like an unbelievable guy and a phenomenal communicator. So, maybe he's good with I don't know if PLD is a younger player anymore, but maybe Carberry's a guy that can get through to him. And clearly the coaches in the past have been unable to connect with him. So if there's one way to look at it, maybe Carberry's the positive, right? Carberry can elevate him at least like he did this group this year, who didn't really have much to believe in or much to hope for. And I think that's kind of where you got to look at it and say, we'll give the guy a shot, But I'm not going to sit here and say, like, great move. You know,
Yeah, it's a tough one. And Carberry, I tweeted, like, if he can't unlock this guy, I don't think nobody will, because, I mean, he's a big time players guy. Look what he did with Dylan Strome this year. Career highs. Stromer went to another level, and he finally got Ovi going too after some tough ups and downs that first half of the season. For him to finish with 31, pretty impressive. So yeah, I don't know. It's a very, very high risk, moderately decent reward move here that honestly, like, if this goes wrong, because it's a lot of term, a lot of salary, it could cost Brian McClellan his job. Like, let's just be frank here. And Rob Blake probably saved his job, if anything. Interesting move from my guys. We'll see. Laz, really appreciate this, my friend. Tell everybody where they can find your stuff, and what are you going to be up to this summer? You going to get out, see some concerts, do some stuff, catch these Yankees that are red hot? What are you up to?
On the agenda, I'm going to go see Inside Out 2 probably at some point soon. I'm excited to see that movie. Love Pixar. Hopefully spend a lot of time outside. But yeah, you can find my stuff on Twitter, JLaz23, and you can check out the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel where I do Morning Cup of Hockey every Monday through Thursday, 9 to 10 a.m. We haven't necessarily solidified our summer plans yet. We're hoping to do one episode a week post-draft. But we'll be back at it for next season every Monday through Thursday, potentially some Fridays as well. And I will be in Vegas next Tuesday through Thursday doing some draft stuff, cool interviews coming up with some players that are hopefully soon to be drafted, and maybe some GMs. We got some stuff in the works. But as always, Ryan, I appreciate you having me on, and always fun chatting. So hopefully we see a Game 7. That's all I'm rooting for at this point. I love watching this series. I love watching hockey. I love watching McDavid. I love watching Tkachuk and Bennett too. I think it's been very entertaining. And, I think we have history possibly at the tip of our fingers here.
Absolutely, man. And remember, if you're a Rangers fan, and we're friends with some people that have come on the show that are big Rangers fans, Blue Crew Pod is a must.
Yes,
you got to check out Blue Crew Pod. Laz and the gang.
We kind of chill in the summer and the off season. We don't really post as much, but appreciate that.
Yes, if you're a Rangers fan, come on, Blue Crew Pod is the place you got to be. And Laz, we really appreciate you jumping on here. If you're at the draft, say hi to my friend Jet Luchenko of the Guelph Storm. Hopefully going to sneak into the first round. So we're cheering for Jet down here. Really appreciate this, Laz. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, everybody. When we come back, our golf analyst Ian Doig will be on, and we got to talk about what happened to Rory. Oh, Rory, the U.S. Open. Is there anything more heartbreaking than what we saw on Sunday? We'll talk about it next with Doigy. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Rory, brought to you by Conway Furniture, our friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC, of course, the Listowel Squash Courts. Ryan Drury back here, joined by Clarkey now, thanks to our buddy Jonny Lazarus of NHL Network and Bleacher Report for joining us in the previous segment. Now it's time to talk some golf. And of course, who else would we want to do that with but our buddy Ian Doig of the Ian Doig Golf Academy. And Doigy, before we start digging in... Hold on.
I know what you're going to go, and I got to say it right now, but I'm doing my couch potato.
That's
Ian
fine.
Doig is my couch potato. Look at the trophy sitting behind him.
Yes.
Unbelievable. A little golf clap. Look at that. Adam,
yes.
you got a picture of it as well. Ian Doig, U.S. Open champ. No, sorry. Ian, tell us what you won. You had a big week.
I had a nice week, nice couple of days. I played in the PGA of Ontario Senior Championship and Super Senior Championship. That's for 60 and over. And I came away with the double victory. I won both titles.
Awesome.
I think it's the first time that it's ever happened where a super senior has won the senior title as well. So
you are my couch potato. Congratulations. This is the same event, if I'm not mistaken, that was in Listowel last year.
That's
correct. We attended.
And we attended and watched. Yep. But that is awesome. You played well.
I did. I played very well. First day I hit 14 greens and shot 70. And the second day I hit 17 greens and shot 71. I didn't putt great. I could have, if I had a putted well, I would have really.
You still taking the stick out, or?
Still taking the flag out. But it was just a really fun couple days, and I went head to head with the guy Danny King won last year at Listowel. He beat me by a shot. This year I beat him by a shot.
I saw he had like a triple on the.
Yeah, he made a couple doubles back to back. Yeah,
was it
and
doubles?
he struggled, but I made about an 18-footer for birdie on the third to
Nice.
fourth to last hole, and gave me a one-shot lead, and I was able to bring it home. So yeah, it was good.
So good,
dude. Congratulations, and Clarkey, rightly so. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Jumping the gun on the couch potato because it's deserved.
I knew you were going there.
Doigy. But you know what? That is where I was going, because that's the most important thing. We want to celebrate our friends on the show here, and a big week for Doigy. And you know what? Double victory. Turned into a triple victory because everything's coming up, Doigy. Move over, Millhouse. Everything's coming up, Doigy, because he won the U.S. Open pickoff. Producer Adam, let's not beat around the bush. We've got the final tally, and Doigy, he wins with a dominant run, and he was really, really good. 13 under, of course. Koepka, his low score doesn't count. We only take the top 3, and he got the 3 bonus points for obviously picking Bryson DeChambeau, the winner, which we're on a streak of picking the winner of tournaments right now, guys. We're doing a good job of that. I had a really tough week, man. Holy cow.
The worst week ever.
And Scotty Scheffler, well, not worse than yours that one week, but Scotty Scheffler really, I mean, guys, let's keep in mind here, I was minus 51 in one of these tournaments. Scotty Scheffler was the one scaring me. Almost missed the cut, managed to turn it around. And Max Homa, man, was he ever bad for me? Clarkey, you had a really solid team showing here. You had a really, really solid team, but Doigy was just too good. All
I also
his guys
want to say
were really solid.
I had no interest in taking Will Zalatoris until our friend Gary Koch picked him. So I thought I'm going to pick him. So I'm blaming Mr. Koch on that one. But yeah,
no, you're not.
Ran away with it. Yeah, no, I would not have picked Will Zalatoris. But hey,
you know what?
Gary Koch tells you Will Zalatoris has a chance, so you pick him.
Well, Clarkey, when I talk to Coker a little later tonight, I'll mention that to him.
Yeah,
see what he
do
says.
that. Tell him.
I don't think Coker gives two you-know-whats about what happened to Clarkey's golf team.
You know what his answer is going to be? Going, Chris who?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That's fine.
That's the appropriate response. And you know what? Another response that people are having after that US Open, Doigy, is, oh my God, poor Rory. I mean, this guy, is there a more tortured individual teams or individual sport athlete than Rory McIlroy right now? We're into 9 years of no majors. It could stretch to 10. And man, the guy's luck. I mean, yeah, you want to say bad luck, but I mean, he muffed 2 really sinkable putts. I don't like saying stuff like this, Doigy. I think I could have sank one of them. Like, to miss 2 from inside 4 feet, somewhere where he does not miss over the last number of years. Oh my God. Have you seen yet on this journey Rory's been on to try and win another major? Have you seen anything as heartbreaking as what we all watched on Sunday?
No. And I mean, I love Rory. I love his game. I really want him to start winning majors again. But here's the crazy stat. He was 55 for 55 inside 5 feet going into those last 3 holes. And then he missed 2 of them from inside 5 feet after going 55 for 55 in the tournament. So very frustrating. Was it nerves? Maybe. The one thing that I've heard on a couple other shows now is that, and I've said this to you guys on the show before, I think one of Rory's issues is that he has his buddy caddying for him. And I still think that if he had a professional PGA Tour caddy on the bag, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because I think he makes too many mistakes with short irons in his hands. He gets too aggressive at the wrong times. And a tour caddy would back him off of that and keep him a little more under control. And at that point in the tournament, he'd have a 3 or 4 shot lead and not have to worry about missing that short putt.
I mean, that's
incredible.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying, I hear what you're saying, but maybe that's who he's comfortable with. And like, he didn't make him miss the putt.
Obviously.
Like,
no,
I get it, Ian. I get it, but
Clarkey, He had Fitzgerald on the bag for his first number of years,
Mhm.
and he won 4 majors, and he's won none since he put his buddy on the bag.
And that's
there
not
might
to say
be
like
other
the guy
reasons
doesn't
too,
win
right?
events.
No, he wins all kinds of
wins.
tournaments, but the majors are what we're all after, and he's not getting it done with the guy that's on the bag now. So switch it up and see what happens.
I saw a crazy stat too, obviously on Sunday, and it was something that really got accentuated after what we all saw happen. And that is that in majors, since Rory's last major win at the Open, since then, in majors on the final day of majors, Rory is 46 under. That was going into the back 9 on Sunday. 46 under. The next closest player in all of that time is 26 under. The guy has finished second, T5,
I don't think that's
T10s.
Caddy. I don't think I don't know. I don't think that's his caddy that's making him do that.
But there's I don't know, man. There's something
missing. There's something missing.
Yeah.
And
there's something to be said for sure.
I watched the whole round, obviously, like everybody else did. And not once did I see his caddy step in and say, "Hey, Rory, let's talk about this a little bit more. Let's do this," or pull him off of a club and say, "Don't be that aggressive." And I did listen to a show yesterday, and they were talking about it. And an expert in the golf industry got on there and said, if Steve Williams was on the bag, a couple shots that Rory hit late in the round, he would not have hit him because Steve Williams would have called him off, and the miss would have been in a different spot, right? It's not about where the great shots go. It's about where the misses go, especially in a major. And therefore, you know what? Maybe he hit 7-iron on a hole and got a little too aggressive and the ball released over the back of the green. Well, Steve Williams wouldn't have let him hit 7-iron. He would have made him hit 8-iron. And therefore, it wouldn't have got over the green and got into a bad spot. So you can second guess that all you want. All I know is that since he put his buddy on the bag, he has not won a major.
Yeah, there's something to be said for it. And you can make arguments back and forth. I think really what everybody was saying, because I think everybody likes, or in the very least greatly respects, Rory. I think everybody walked away from it saying, oh man, like the poor guy. However, we don't need to focus too much on the negativity surrounding what ended up happening to Rory there. Bryson DeChambeau, and this kind of ties into what you just said about Rory not needing to be that aggressive. He really didn't need to be if he had eased off on some shots, because Bryson couldn't get it on the fairway all round, but he muscled his way out of trouble with some great shots, including 2 of the better recovery shots I think we've ever seen to end a major championship. The first one there on 18, where he's got to crook shank it out of a tree root and somehow manages to make it into the bunker. But then he sets himself up for an almost even harder shot, a very, very severe up and down from 55 yards. And that chip shot out of the bunker, Doigy, is one that we are going to talk about in the golf annals of history for a long time.
100%. I don't know if people that don't play the game at a high level understand how difficult a 55-yard bunker shot is. Now you throw into it that it was uphill to a tiered green, that he had to get it up on that top tier under the pressure of the U.S. Open, knowing that he has to get it up and down to win the golf tournament. You start throwing all of that in there. It's on a scale of 1 to 10 in difficulty, it's a 15. Crazy, absolutely crazy. And he pulled it off. My hat's off to him. Happy that I picked him. I obviously had a gut feeling. He's been playing well. And I just felt like the golf course, because of the lack of rough and more of the sandy waste areas, that it fit into his game, because I knew he could overpower it with the big long drives that he hits. That's
absolutely, and that's what he did, and it was incredible. Clarkey, what are some of your thoughts on?
Well, my thoughts is about, and I've always thought this with Bryson. And tell me, like, if I was a golfer just learning how to play golf, I don't want to mimic his swing. Like, he's very stiff, like he's just got a real different swing, but it works for him. How does it work for him and doesn't seem to work for anyone else?
Well, he's an engineer by mind and schooling and stuff. And what he uses is what we call a one-piece playing golf swing. And there's only been a few guys in the history of the game that have played that way. And Canadian by the name of Mo Norman, who was phenomenal, played that way. It's very difficult to learn it. It's very difficult to understand it. It's it's hard to teach it. All of those things. But he has worked at it his entire life. He bought into the concept when he was a teenager. His golf clubs are all the same length. But he's as strong as an ox.
Yeah,
right?
Well, yeah, we know he all of a sudden one year he was strong as an ox.
Right. He's as strong as an ox, but he also he hits the golf ball a long, long way. But what a lot of people don't understand, because his golf clubs are all the same length, so his pitching wedge is the same length as his 4-iron.
Yeah, well, I want to get into that a little bit too, because he 3D prints these things.
Yes,
he does. Some of them. Yeah. How does that obviously they must be to spec, but can anyone do that?
Well, I guess they can, but if you recall at the last major, which was the PGA Championship, he didn't get authorization that they were conforming until 3 days before the tournament. Right?
Oh, so, they should. I mean, they should have to test them, right?
Well, they do, right? And that's what had to happen. The USGA tested them to make sure they conformed, and they did.
It is an amazing story that this guy 3D prints some.
Right. And the other thing about it is, they'll say he's hitting an 8-iron, but his 8-iron, because of the way they're built with the longer shafts and the more weight and everything else, his 8-iron has the loft of about a 6-iron.
Right.
So when they say that he's hitting an 8-iron 215 yards, he's actually hitting a 6-iron 215 yards, right?
Yeah.
So, it gets confusing from that perspective, right? So, it's but he's incredible. And right now, I think he's really, really good for golf.
And that's what I was going to say, Doigy. This guy seems to be the media darling. He seems like, from the outside, and I know when cameras are on, guys can put on a show, aka Joe Carter with the Jays, but he seems like a real likable guy.
Well, I've never met him, but I will tell you this. I have a partner that I've played with in team events here in Ontario by the name of Eddie Maunder, and Eddie's stepdaughter dated Bryson. And Eddie's had a chance to play golf with them, and they have said nothing but wonderful things about him. Treated Eddie's stepdaughter very kindly and generously, and
nice.
And they've had a chance to be with him around dinner engagements and things like that. And said,
do you think you could ask her for
his
number? Or we could get him on the show.
Well, you never know. We could maybe try and do that.
Digging away here. Ever the journalist. And I wanted to kind of bounce off that, because he was a guy just a couple short years ago, and when the live thing came out and he joined up, it exacerbated it the other direction. A couple of years ago, he was not exactly the most well-liked guy on tour. As a matter of fact, I was around some golfers last week, and they all kind of were like, I'm not a really big fan of the guy. Seems like a know-it-all kind of mad scientist guy. And by the end of the tournament, especially watching on Sunday when we were all together watching, everybody's opinion did sort of start to teeter, and there was that great shot of him with the young disabled man who was there to watch him, and he signed his hat and stopped and had a little chat with them, and that's going to endear any athlete to fans. And then of course the one of my friends, Rich Belton, shout out Rich, my cutthroat partner, he said, I love that he shows so much emotion. And we saw that big fist pump on that long par save that he had on the back nine to start the round off on the back of it. And of course, the raw emotion at the end when he made that final putt after that incredible bunker shot. Like, I kind of agree with Clarkey and the sentiments of many golf fans after Sunday. I think he's great for golf, and I love the emotion that he was showing.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, it's a shame that we're only going to get to see him one more time this year, right? At the PGA Championship. And I think that that's bad for golf. I'm a fan of Live. I watch it on TV. I don't like all of it. I don't like the 54 holes. I don't like the shotgun start, those types of things, but I love the money. And when I start to look at Live Golf and then look at this signature series stuff that the PGA Tour is doing, other than the shotgun start and the 48 player fields and the 54 holes, it's the same thing. It's the same tournament. They're playing for the same amount of money, right? And so why can't we find a way for them to come together and fix all this and get them where they're all playing? Gary talked about it when he was on the show that in his mind and in his opinion, that the people from the PGA Tour side of it don't seem to be in a hurry because they don't think they need to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they're not careful, Live may just take off on them. I mean, as Gary said, the viewership is down by, between 30 and 40%.
But have either of you guys even watched a Live event this year?
Yeah, I have. I've watched a few of them. I've watched a few of them. And I
enjoy
it. Tune into small chunks of one.
Yeah. I don't know.
Barely.
You meant he's going to be playing in the Open Championship, no?
Yes, is that what it?
Okay, you said PGA.
Sorry, we've already had the PGA.
Yeah, we've already had
the Open.
Where he finished second, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he? In the
yes,
PGA?
he did. And I've got it a little bit backwards because in the old days, the PGA followed the US Open. The PGA used to be the last event of the year, and now it's early on.
And what do you think about the Canadian Open now changing with the Memorial a week before the US Open? Is that going to hurt the field in the Canadian Open?
100%.
Yeah.
Especially with these signature events and stuff.
Exactly.
Like, guys are forced to play too many weeks in a row, and
exactly.
And they got to take a week off. Well, what week are you going to take off? They're going to take off the Canadian Open.
Yeah.
What frustrates me over the Canadian Open thing is that how we can't be a signature event. I mean,
right.
RBCA
should
be.
Yeah, that's a joke.
It is a joke.
The Heritage Classic, and they have all these players that wear the logo. They do. They raise the purse of the Canadian Open to make it competitive.
Yeah. I mean, it was the unofficial fifth major back in the day.
Look, when I started playing, I played my first Canadian Open in the early 80s. And when I started playing in it, I still considered it a major because it was the Canadian Open. It was
it's a national championship. Yeah, exactly. But bottom line is it's a national championship.
But back in the day, the Trevinos and the Lanny Watkins and Raymond Floyds, and they would all come home up and play in it, and they considered it the fifth major. This was a big deal to win the Canadian Open.
Yeah.
And if you ever look at Jack Nicklaus's record, and he will admit to you, the one omission that he has on his record is that he never won the Canadian Open. He finished second 7 times.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff.
And they moved that tournament around the dates. Like it used to be when I worked at the Fan, it was in September many times, and the weather was iffy. And but I don't know what the right date is, but it's too bad they're now a week before the US Open.
Well, I've played in it when it was in June. I've played in it when it was in July, and I played in it when it was in September.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and we've talked about this before. I think it's a joke that the tour doesn't consider it an elevated event, given how many golf fans are here, how passionate people are here about the game, how many great Canadian players we have on it. I mean, look at last year and the moment we had with Nick Taylor. No one will ever forget 72.5 feet. Like that was a landmark moment. Adam Hadwin getting tackled by the security guard. That was a landmark moment. All the Canadian guys watching him too, Weirzy and Corey and everybody. Like it's a joke. And it's borderline insulting to me, just as a casual fan, even like I don't play, but I'm insulted by it, to be perfectly frank. Like, I think it's a joke. And the whole argument of like, oh, well, they play too many weeks in a row. Well, then you turn around, you got guys like Rory and a bunch of them on the Full Swing documentary saying, oh, we're being whiners and about playing too many weeks in a row. Yeah, you are. You can't come up here and entertain great Canadian fans that travel down to the States and go to the Waste Management and go to the US Open and go to the Masters every year. I knew numerous friends from Listowel here that went down to the Masters this year just to watch Corey. Like, you can't come up here. Oh, it's too many weeks in a row. Jesus. I mean, come on here.
I know you're whining, but I don't think people realize the toll mentally and physically
all right
it takes on you.
You got to walk for 4 straight days, Drury.
Not 4.
God.
6 straight days.
Oh, 6 straight days. You got to walk.
I understand.
You got to golf. You got to golf.
But you got to golf at a high level, and it takes a lot of mental capacity to do that. I can tell you,
it's almost as bad as baseball.
Every time I've ever won a big tournament, a 4-day tournament, I am completely and utterly exhausted the day after. And fortunately, typically it's a Monday and it's a travel day and you get on the plane and you travel. But even that takes a lot out of you, especially when you're changing time zones and everything. It really is tiring. So now you do it and you play 4 or 5 weeks in a row and you are exhausted. It's hard. People don't get how hard it is. You know, how many people that watch the show live in a hotel room for 6 straight weeks? Not fun, right? It's not fun.
That's not having someone make your bed. And
I understand.
Eat in restaurants and everything.
Yeah,
and I've done it.
My
record
don't
though
have to
is
cook. Don't have to
I think
make
I
your bed.
played my first year in Asia. I played.
No, I'm sorry, dude.
No,
that's a nice
You're
life.
terrible.
I'm sorry. It's
It is.
a nice life. Like I heard,
but I
Pierre LeBrun
understand
today
what Doigy. I
do too,
understand.
but like I heard Pierre LeBrun say something today on TV that was like it just. People don't want to hear your problems about checking into a hotel. They don't want to hear it, right? Like, I'm sorry.
That's my only side of it here is that the people and hey, it gets more and more expensive to go to events every single year, it seems, whether it's a concert, a golf tournament, a hockey game, whatever. So you're right. The fans don't want to hear that. However, I do understand that like being an athlete is tiring. Like go out and go for a bike ride. I bet you're going to be tired after. Imagine playing at a high level in one of these sports. So it's a two-sided argument, and I understand both sides of it. Yeah. Let's quickly move on. We got a bit of time left. I respect Doigy.
Hold on, what are we going to talk about?
Doigy put a lot of sweat and tears.
There's one more thing.
Yes,
golf
he put a lot of sweat and tears into those multiple victories, and he tagged on the U.S. Open pickoff too. Triple win for Doigy. Yeah. Quickly, before I ask you guys quickly about the Stanley Cup Final, you got one last golf thought, Clarkey?
I do, and like,
please,
I'm kind of disappointed, and I should maybe make you my couch potato, but I actually won a golf tournament last week as well, and no one talked about it. I won the Niagara Open with my bunch of buddies by 1 stroke. Shot my best round of golf in 30 plus years.
It wasn't 81. Publicized, so I'll take that defense.
It was in the Clarkey Journal, but I won a golf tournament.
Chris Clark Gazette. Good for you. I must have missed that.
And it's all the
Ian Listowel banner.
It's the Ian Doig Golf Academy who got me to where I was on day 1.
Well, congratulations.
I got a little tired
Clarkey.
for day 2 because I'm not used to playing golf 2 days in a row.
Congratulations.
But I held on for a 1-stroke victory. No, Clarkey, I won a tournament.
Clarkey, nice playing and well done. And I'm glad you're taking the lessons seriously.
Thank you, Doig.
Now we just have to work on your stamina a little bit.
That's right. Yeah. Day 1 was great. Day 2, I went 81-97, but won by a stroke.
We got to touch quickly. We got a couple of minutes left. I got my couch potato left still, and it's a special one. Quickly, couple notable legendary athletes passing away. Of course, Jerry West in the NBA, the logo, and of course Willie Mays this week, 93, the Say Hey Kid, 660 bombs.
Yeah. Doigy, what do you remember about Willie Mays?
A dozen gold gloves. Man, his stats would have been even better too if he didn't go and serve in the war. The Say Hey Kid.
Right. We got to ask Doigy about Willie Mays, I guess.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, when I was young, I wasn't much of a baseball fan. So obviously I know who he was and everything. But, if I started to talk about stats and that,
many people consider him the greatest player of all time. Certainly an argument. Most certainly the greatest defensive player of all time.
That over the shoulder
kid. Yeah. The head over the shoulder basket catch, one of the most iconic moments, not just in baseball and sports. Rest in peace, Mr. West. And Mr. Mays. Quickly, guys, Stanley Cup Final. Connor and the boys, they dragged him back to Alberta. Are we going 7, Doigy? What do you think quickly here?
I would like to think yes, because that display of hockey that Connor McDavid has put on those last couple games is unbelievable. The goal where he set up Perry came off the boards and into the slot.
It was unreal.
Oh, look at that. There's a wide open net right there.
I think I read that was the end of a 2-minute and 15-second shift.
Yes, because he had been out for the whole power play and everything.
Stamina.
And he was going at 30 kilometers an hour, stick handling through 3 or 4 defensemen. It was a crazy play. Unbelievable.
One of the greatest plays ever. I'd put it right up there with the Lemieux goal against the Stars. The oh baby, look at Lemieux. We'll remember that. Clarkey and I, we watched the game together. I got up off your couch. I had to walk around. I got crazy legs after seeing that. I was like, whoa! I just felt something go through my body there. I was like, oh my god, what did we just watch? Like Perry couldn't even believe it. He was in total disbelief. The guy's a freak.
I'm going to interject. I have to say that since the Leafs got put out, that's the first game I've watched.
It was a good one to watch.
What a game.
I think it might have been the first one I've watched too.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, Doigy, you've been busy winning golf tournaments, brother. So
and same with me.
Good.
Yeah.
But yeah, full.
and Clarkey. I want to say as well, we'd be remiss if we didn't point out McDavid now fourth all time in points in a single playoff run, 41 now as we record this, trailing only 2 seasons from Gretzky, one by Lemieux sandwiched in there. The kid is incredible. All right, guys, quickly.
Florida wins though Friday night, by the way.
We will see. I mean, they better, because I feel like if they don't, Edmonton might pull off one of the greatest comebacks in sports history.
Since the Leafs,
of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs,
right? 1942.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are the only team in sports history to come back from a 3-0 deficit in a final and win 1942 against the Red Wings. Much to the dismay of the Motor City.
At the end of the day, I don't care who wins. I was thinking Florida would win, but it's a great story, and I would love to see incredible stuff. I would love to see Game 7.
Well, here quickly now to close out the show is another great story, and my couch potato. Please, Adam, throw this up. My best friends in the world, and yes, let me get the hat. Adam, throw it up, and I'll transition into my costume. My 2 best friends in the whole world. Rob Krellin, Laura Belton. They got married this past weekend, June 15th. There's some shots. It was an incredible time. That first picture there, that's Rob with a brand new Fender Stratocaster that our buddy Quincy, our other best friend, gave him, signed by the Arkells. Quincy is the Arkells guitar tech. Pretty cool. And he got all the boys in the Arkells to sign it. So there's Rob sitting with his beautiful bride, playing the guitar the next day. The second picture you see there is my gift to them. They moved out to Vancouver a few years ago. They've become Canucks fans, so I got them custom Canucks jerseys, Mr. and Mrs. Krellin on the back there, 06-15, the wedding date. There's Rob and I. I was his best man. I was so honored. And there's the 2 of them there at the Adamo Estate Winery in the Hockley Valley getting married. Just an incredible experience to watch your 2 best friends get married. It was so much fun. And everybody's still thinking about them. Many people saying it was the best wedding they've ever been to. A lot of our friends, we got talented musician friends who were there jamming away. Let me get the hat.
Yeah, that was very good. Congratulations to the Krellins for sure. And
absolutely.
Is he the? Does he have a little bit of a part of this show? I don't want to say, but is it the
well?
Who did the theme?
Mr. Krellin and I. The theme song of this show is our band. Yeah, it is called Clarence Street. It's a hardcore project we've been.
Adam, bring it in a little bit here as we go. As we say goodbye. Bring it in a little bit.
Give us a little bit of the outro music. Yeah, and Rob, the most talented producer I know. He produces all of our stuff. Go check it out on Apple Music. And also, he's a great solo artist. He goes by the moniker Pieces. Go on YouTube. He's covered a number of great songs, too. He's got some great Springsteen covers, Petty, all of it.
Nice.
Incredible. I'm lucky to call both of them my best friends, and I was thrilled to watch them get married. It was
Congrats.
We got to stop the show because I'm going to get emotional.
Yeah. Well, we got to say Hudson's has it. Hudson's has it.
Yes.
Okay, lots going on. Big contest going on. You can win lots of cash. Doigy's going to come down and get a new Canyon any day now. I know it.
With his winnings, yes.
Yeah, Hudson's has it. 1000 Walls Avenue North in Listowel. And I played in the Chamber golf tournament this week and finished second, 10 under. Second place to the cheaters. I mean, the guys.
This guy's hot.
11. I am.
This guy's hot. Hudson has the inventory, and they have very talented staff, including Clarkey.
We had a ringer on
see our friends. Go see our friends at Larry Hudson's. Conway Furniture, Highway 86, East End of Listowel. One more time, Phil Main. He'll tell you
Conway
where it is.
Furniture,
One more time.
Highway 86, just east of Listowel.
That's right. All the prices in there include HST and delivery. Of course, our friends at Listowel Squash Courts, we thank them as well. Thanks to Jonny Lazarus of the NHL Network, our friend Ian Doig right there.
Congrats,
winning
Doigy.
back-to-back tournaments, and congratulations to the Krellins. I love you both, Rob and Laura. I'll see you on the West Coast, Best Coast soon. You can watch this show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. Debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. You can follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. Find the podcast version on all your favorite podcast apps. I'm Ryan Drury. That's Clarkey. That's Doigy. He's a winner. We're winners here, and so are the Krellins. We'll see you next week for more Instigating.